again, everybody. Welcome to the Backbone Podcast, where common sense still makes sense in a world that is sick and only getting sicker. And yesterday, if you in any part of the country that got that snow dump, hopefully you're doing well and you're keeping warm. Just remember, do not pick up snow with your back. Do not shovel snow with your back. You must use your lower part of the body as well. There's your snow tip for the day. Now, we had two games yesterday that couldn't have been more different in so many ways. We saw two very different one-score NFL games yesterday in the Sunday Conference Championship round. The Pats, we'll go with them first, was a tale of two halves. The first half, weather conditions were perfect in Denver. Sun, it was cold, but it's Denver. And the Patriots, there's no advantage there. The Patriots had the Patriots are used to that type of weather. But what we saw was, again, the analytics and the math and all this crazy shit that these guys look into when they manage these football games. It just drives you nuts. It drives you absolutely nuts. Sean Payton was putting on a masterclass in that first half. And he showed you his gambler style of coaching. When he was throwing the ball with Stedham in that first quarter, and he made that big play in the first quarter with the big pass, and then they get that touchdown, it's 7-0. Crowd is going crazy. Patriots are reeling. Patriots defense was stiffened, but the Broncos were running on them. Stedham was doing very well, keeping steady Stedham. And they were moving the ball well. But more importantly, the Bronco defense was dominating the Patriots. Drake May, who I like, has had an awful playoff. He was awful yesterday. He was awful the week before that. He could not, in any way, shape, or form with his arm, get the Patriots moving in any sort of threatening scoring position. The second quarter, late into the second quarter, on 4th and 4, instead of taking the points in the field goal, which would have made it 10-0, a two-score game, with your defense, knowing that the weather is coming, knowing that the snow is coming, knowing that the conditions are going to be terrible, and that you have your quarterback is a guy who's played 4 games in his entire career, started 4 games in his entire career. What does Peyton do? He calls for a rollout pass that I just don't understand it. And Peyton, from that point on, blew the AFC Championship game. The Pats get it back. We then have that incredible turnover that gave the Pats a cheap touchdown that put them right back in the game. And that's where an experienced quarterback from a backup quarterback, because Stedham should have just taken the sack at that point instead of trying to make something out of nothing. It was a disastrous play that cost them that game, and it all lays on the feet on Sean Payton. Had they gotten that field goal, now it's 10-0. Would it have changed the game to the maximum? No. But you're still forcing the Patriots to look at a 2-score game instead of a 1-score game. So one bad play that happens, it's 10-7. The weather's going to be terrible in the second half. The Patriots, they would still be on the field if they're trying to score a touchdown today. They couldn't move the ball against them to save their lives. Drake May did some good stuff with his feet. But that's it. The Broncos were just dominating them. The weather comes, The Patriots have the wind to their back. They get that field goal. It's 10-7, and the game is effectively over there because Stedham couldn't do it. The Broncos' offense was completely shut down by the Patriots. And on that final drive, it's 10-7. It's 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 5. What the Broncos were thinking on defense, and this is why Vance Joseph is never going to be a great head coach, because if he can't see that, he doesn't belong in any sort of head coaching talk. You know the Patriots aren't throwing the football. You know they're not throwing the football. Why are you not setting up for the run? You know that they're gonna run the ball in some capacity, and they fake it, and May gets that first down. A huge play in the game effectively ends the game, and the Broncos are going home or staying home. And it was all because of bad coaching. Peyton did very, very well in the first half. It was a masterclass of discipline and guts, but he tried to be too gutsy. This analytics, and the same thing happened with the Rams and the Seahawks, and we'll get to them in a bit. These guys rely too much on this mathematics and analytics and all this other bullshit. In the playoffs, you must get the points. They've forgotten about field goals in the playoffs. These NFL teams why even have kickers anymore? You have to, in the playoffs, you have to get as many points as you can. And the Broncos just learned that. They learned it the hard way. Now, Peyton, of course, is, he's never going to admit that because Sean Payton is as arrogant as it gets. But he's home. And now what we have is a Super Bowl with, the Patriots again. We got the Pats again. And who the hell wants to see that? As we do, we always show the losing coach because that's the interesting part of the game. The press conference. Here is Sean Payton immediately after the Broncos fall to the Patriots 10-7.
Well, Coach, first of all, we appreciate your time after a tough loss. What was the right message for the guys in that locker room?
Look, it's hard when you get to this game, and I said, look, man, I can't tell you anything that's going to change how you feel right now. We're proud of them. Man, they played hard. Wasn't good enough today. Wasn't good enough by us, myself. This is probably one of the closer teams that I've coached. And, you tell them you love them. And that's kind of about it.
You've been doing this for a long time. Yeah. The conditions in the second half got a little wild. How did it impact your offense and the plays you could call?
Well, look, I would have liked to have run the ball better. I think ultimately, man, in the first half, I loved how it unfolded. It felt like the whole first half was on their side of the field. The turnover was costly. The backward pass, that resulted in points. I thought defensively we played very well. It became a low-scoring game, and in the end, those turnovers and we had the wind in the fourth quarter, but it was just managing, what you could do throwing it.
Sean, you're a class act. Thanks for taking time.
Appreciate you.
And there's Sean Payton. And listen, he played it as good as you could because he had the wind to his back in the fourth quarter, and that's what you want. But he could have had the points. He takes that field goal. Now it's 10-0. Even if the Patriots tied up, it's 10-10. You can still manage the game without your quarterback having to throw the ball deep. They were doing pretty well running the ball, even though the Patriots were stacking that line like crazy. They were still moving it. And they could have set up that game with a field goal at the end to win it. Now, they missed the field goal, which wasn't really a miss. It was tipped. It was blocked. It changed the trajectory of the ball. But in those weather conditions, it is extremely difficult to put a guy in there to tie the game in a make or break situation. It's just terrible for these kickers. And he should not have put his team in that position. And of course, he didn't mention the fourth down. And the shame on the reporter for not bringing that up. But that was the game. That was the game. That was the decider right there. You kind of knew when the Patriots stopped them on that fourth down, things kind of went the Pats' way. And Peyton now 1-3 in conference championship games. We know why. Is he a good coach? Yeah, he's a Super Bowl winning coach. Half the teams in the league would take him. But he just made this terrible error, and I just don't understand why these coaches try to outsmart and outthink themselves. I don't get it. Be boring. Boring wins sometimes. He worked for a guy named Bill Parcells who wasn't an innovator. Smash mouth football, smash mouth defense. We're going to just kick your ass and that's it. It was boring, but they won. Be boring. I don't care what you do. Just get me the trophy at the end. Just win the damn game. These coaches drive me crazy. Then we go to the Rams. And the Rams and the Seahawks. I'm gonna tell you something. I don't believe in any of this. Sean McVay is overrated or any of those other things. The Rams were counting on what a lot of us thought was going to happen. And a lot of us thought Sam Darnold would make that turnover in the big area. Sam Darnold came through. Regardless of what happens in the Super Bowl, and let's be honest, we kind of know what's going to happen in the Super Bowl. Darnold has officially completed the entire rewrite of his career. After being in a disastrous situation with the Jets, where he was getting killed, the whole I saw ghosts and all this other stuff with the Patriots, he has completely turned himself around, his career around, in the right direction. Minnesota giving up on him after a 14-win season was obscene. And the fact that last year when he got signed by the Seattle Seahawks, and that Mina Kimes, that mental midget moron who, the only reason why she's on TV is because of this DEI shit, saying that it was a step backwards for the Seahawks. Well, he wins 14 games, number one seed. Now he's 60 minutes away from being a Super Bowl champion. I wonder what Mina has to say now. Even as Darnold played as well and as good as a quarterback could play, and he was hitting all his passes, didn't turn the ball over once, didn't make a mistake once. They ran the ball perfectly. McDonald's is a very talented young coach, defensive guy. Darnold going 25 of 36 for 246 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Rams still had a chance to win this game. And you saw that the Rams and Sean McVay, you notice that both Seans lost yesterday. Sean McVay is probably watching the tape right now as we speak and banging his fists on the table because the Rams were so close so many times to taking full control of this game, and they just didn't want it. They were putting pressure on Darnold, and Darnold, who usually struggles with that, didn't. Darnold sustained the pressure in key moments of that game. And there was a stat that they had last night where he went 5 for 11 for 102 yards, and he hit all 3 of his touchdown passes against blitzes or high-pressure rushes. That is incredible. That's either coaching, that's leadership, That's having a coach that believes in you. And let me tell you, a lot of these offensive coordinators who become head coaches, they ruin their quarterbacks because they don't believe in them, because they wanted to be quarterbacks themselves. Listen, the biggest guy is Kyle Shanahan. He's destroyed more quarterbacks than anybody else. Darnold was amazing yesterday, and I'm happy for him. I just didn't like the fact that he was just obliterated by the New York media being on that terrible Jets team, and they called him a bust, and they called him this, and they called him that. Now it's Super Bowl Sam. Now they're 60 minutes away from winning the Super Bowl. And he hit Cooper Kupp on so many of those crossing plays, that the Rams must have been shaking their head, giving up on him. We told you last week, we talked about how the Rams' one weakness, their major weakness, McVay should have ran the football more. And going for that fourth down, like Peyton did, going for that fourth down in the fourth quarter was a disaster too. You have 5 minutes left, 31-27. You take the points. You take the points. And then you hope your defense can get you the ball back, at least with some time left. They get the ball back with 33, 35 seconds left in the game. One big pass play, you might even get a flag on it. You're in field goal range. But these guys, they want to be the heroes. It's their egos that manage these games, not their brains. But we told you the one danger, the major concern, if you were a Rams fan, was their special teams. They fired a coach this year, and they've never been able to get their special teams right. And the Rams finished the season 26th in special teams. And even that might undersell how dramatically awful that special teams unit is. McVay's special teams came up short in key moments all season long. Blocked field goals cost them a win against the Eagles in week 3. A blocked field goal and a miss helped decide the loss against the 49ers in week 5. The Rams missed a 48-yard field goal and allowed a punt return touchdown to help them in that incredible comeback that the Seahawks had in week 16. And Chase Blackburn was fired 2 days later after that. And things didn't get any better. In the wild card game, the first round game, the Panthers blocked a punt with 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. The Bears managed only a 33, even Evans, who managed only a 33-yard punt in the fourth quarter against the Bears, setting the Bears up at midfield, that led to that game-tying touchdown at the end of regulation. In both cases, the Rams were able to win those games despite their awful, awful special teams. And you know what? Special teams always comes back to bite you. And this time, punt returner Xavier Smith was to blame. He muffs 2 punts, and he fell on the first one. The second one just got away from him, and he fell over, and it looked like slow motion, and you could almost predict that it was going to happen. Just the way he looked like Rusty Staub trying to catch a fly ball. And Seattle recovers the ball at the LA 17. Darnold hits Bobo for the touchdown on the next play. It was the only turnover of the game, and it was on special teams. And it led to a short field and a quick touchdown. And now it's not 17-13, it's 24-13. These games are just they talk about this postseason. There's been so much drama and so much this and so much that. Let me tell you something. There hasn't been drama because the play has been great. There's been drama for two reasons. First, the officiating in this league is an embarrassment, and the coaching is even worse. It is really, really bad. It really is bad. It's shockingly bad. I've never seen bad coaching as on this level ever. This is the first time. Here's McVay after the game.
It was a great back and forth game by two great teams, but it's a couple critical errors that ended up costing us. But love this team. It's one of my all-time favorites. I'll be honest with you guys right now. Nothing but gratitude for these guys. Nothing but respect for the Seahawks. And I'm pretty numb. I think the finality of all of it, when you don't allow yourself to even think about anything other than just advancing, I felt like we were going to be the team on that podium and we weren't. And, you give Seattle the credit, but I love this group and, I'm never really short on words and I am right now. So it's tough, but this is sports and you got to be able to deal with it. It was a great back and forth game.
And there's McVay. And that's how it goes. Now we have a Super Bowl February 8th in 2 weeks in Santa Clara. The nightmare scenario is here. Watching the Seahawks celebrate on Niner turf will not be easy, and it's going to be something that the Seahawks and their pitiful little fans are going to be able to brag about forever. Fine. I'm over it. I'm a little bit more upset that I went 0-2 because technically I should have won both of those games. But the coaches suck. So I'm gonna take a mulligan on that one. This Super Bowl it doesn't have any juice for me. This Super Bowl needed the Bills. The Patriots got to this game because of the awful quarterback play that they've been gifted over the last couple of weeks. That won't happen. I don't think it will happen in 2 weeks. I think Darnold will exercise his Pat demons, and the Patriots are going to. The Patriots just don't have enough offense. Their defense is great. Their coaching is very, very good, very solid, but they don't have. May is not playing well. So, we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks, and we have so many stories to get to with all this madness in Minnesota, all this madness that's going on all around the world. It's just an insane world, but at least we can escape for a little bit with the last week of football, because as we know, that the Super Bowl is pretty much an American holiday. People don't really watch the Super Bowl for the game itself. They watch it for the commercials. They watch it for this. They go to the parties. I'll be at a party. So this is effectively the NFL saying goodbye until the celebration of the Super Bowl, and then we move on to pitchers and catchers and baseball, and then we move on and on and on. But I was not overly excited about these two games yesterday. Were they crazy games? Yes. One-score games, I thought that they would be very tight. Could they have been managed better by the losing coaches? Absolutely. They blew it. They both blew it. And they know it. Will they own up to it? Of course not. But anyway, that's the ego of the head coach. And that's my 2 cents. Thanks again for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Remember, my friend, Satan is always busy. Be a man and have a backbone, because masculinity and common sense are worth standing up for. And just remember, if it ends in an ism, it's a mental disorder. We'll see you later.